When will be a good time to buy a house? There won't be a perfect moment anytime soon, but that shouldn't stop you if you're ready. Hi, I'm Melinda Capp with Melinda Capp Homes. Welcome! So far, shopping for a home in the 2020s has been obscenely competitive. Here are 3 statistics that capture just how zany the housing market has been. From late 2020 to late 2021, American home prices increased an average of 17.5%, more than twice as much as in a typical year during the 2010s. In some places, such as Boise, Idaho, and Austin, Texas, prices went up more than 30%. In late 2019, the median number of days the house was on the market was about 50. In late 2021, that number went down to 24. Meanwhile, almost 2/3 of people who bought a home in 2020 told Redfin that they submitted an offer on at least one house without even having seen it themselves. So, in other words, houses have been selling at a higher price, more quickly, and buyers haven't even been able to find much relief by broadening their search to other areas. And we're finding that this is happening in almost all of the country. So under these conditions, many first-time home buyers are likely wondering, well, when is the housing market going to settle down? And if I want to buy a house soon, is it wise to dive in now, or is it wise to wait? So here's what the experts are saying. The short answers are, it'll probably calm down a bit this year, but it still will remain quite wild. You don't have to wait, but don't do something rash just because of the frenzied market. Even though home prices soared during the pandemic wasn't the underlying cause. There's been a longer brewing imbalance between supply and demand. And on top of that, baby boomers are staying in their homes relatively later in life, which further restricts the supply. So meanwhile, demand has been propped up by the low interest rates. And all of these put together, you end up with more people wanting to buy houses than there are houses to buy. The pandemic didn't produce this imbalance, but it did exacerbate it. So even though supply was temporarily hindered by the coronavirus, pause in construction, and a supply chain related to shortages of building materials. And the demand for spacious suburban houses was pushed upward as many Americans, I'm sure you know like yourself, especially workers from home, they turn their attention away from downtown urban areas. But even as some of those factors fade into the importance, the underlying shortage of housing will persist. And for that reason, the experts say don't expect the prices to stop climbing anytime soon, though they did expect prices to climb less steeply in 2022. But price increases this year will be about 1/3 of what they were last year. Does that give you hope? One thing that could somewhat dampen price increases, as well as the bidding wars, that have pleased the homeowners and exasperated buyers is a rise in the interest rates, which is expected to happen this year. The idea is that the higher rates make borrowing more expensive, which reduces the amount people are able to spend, which in turn pulls down home prices. So let's ask the question. If you could magically choose what the market is like when you buy a house, you'd maximize your wealth, minimize your stress, by picking a time when prices are low, and they're going to shoot up in the future when interest rates are low, and when you don't have to make a rush decision or enter into a bidding war. The competitiveness of today's market means that now is not that magical moment. Identifying the perfect time to buy is impossible because perfect timing is clear only in retrospect. But one expert did say, you ought to be making this decision not as an investment. If you're buying a house, just be advised. It should be because you want to live in it for at least 5 years, and ideally many more, which also means that even if the prices fluctuate, you have a better chance of your investment appreciating over time. So the longer you stay in that house, and the timing you stay in this particular house, the price cycles out. Waiting for the market to settle down isn't likely going to help you. There's not going to be a perfect time when prices dip and you can jump in. But what's more important is whether you're personally able to financially afford the home. If you are, now seems a fine time to purchase. One big caveat going into this market, though, is demand has been so high and supply has been so low that some buyers have been willing to waive their contingencies on their offer. But this is a risk for many, many, many reasons. Watch this video if you want more information on my insights. If everybody else is in this buying frenzy, doesn't that mean you should be in one too? Some of the people who win those bidding wars may not have had good decisions. Better to insist on the usual contingencies, even if that means postponing your purchase or finding a different house. Just keep in mind, this approach to home buying is not meant to discount the very real consequences of purchasing a home. If, for example, you buy too late, you may end up losing out on additional square footage, or a shorter commute, or an increase in the value of your home. Or you may not. You just can't know when the best time is. So set that strategizing aside and try not to think about it. If you buy a house and you stay there for a while, you're going to be in a better position to ride out whatever craziness holds in the future. Thanks for tuning in.